So for NGB's top 10 games of 2015, we're kicking off the top 10 at number 10 with Rocket League. I know that Gary, you got into Rocket League in quite a big way. So let's go into it.
Yeah, it was just a game. At first, I was a bit like, do I really want to play this? But as it was free, I thought, well, there's nothing to lose. So, once I started playing it, I just lost hours and hours on it. It's just fun. That's the biggest thing that comes away from Rocket League for me.
It's football with cars.
Yeah, it's just mental and it's just great fun. I don't think, there's not many sports titles, if you want to call it a sports titles, out there this year that sort of captured that sort of fun aspect like Rocket League does. And it's good online if you play with people you know. It's good fun. Even like just playing with just random people online, it's just a fucking great deal of fun.
It's mayhem, isn't it? Online, it's a good laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just you don't have to spend hours and hours on it. You can just sort of come in and out of it. But every time you sort of play it, it's just great. It's just great to sort of sit down and just have a fucking blast on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd fully agree. Like the way that it launched, like I know beforehand a lot of people you'd see on forums and things like that, they're going, oh fucking hell, what's this Rocket League, that sounds shit. Oh, we want good AAA games with PlayStation Plus for free. And then they were like,
wait, is that Adam Neves talking?
No mate, he's got to talk like this. Yeah, like as soon as Rocket League came out, it was one of those things where like everyone just started playing it and immediately shut the fuck up because it was awesome. I've sunk so many hours into it. It's like you've said, it's just fun. There's no other way of describing that game, and I'm so pleased it's made our top 10 because it is great fun. And as you said, the fact that it was free on PS Plus, since its release, I've gone and bought every piece of DLC for that game because, I know I got the game for free, and I feel like it's worth me buying the DLC because I want to support the developers and I want to support Psyonix.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And it's come out recently that I think they spent $2 million developing the game, and it's just past the $50 million sales.
Shit.
It's made them $50 million, which, fair play, that they have absolutely struck gold with it. And I think the fact that it was free on PS Plus helped them an awful lot.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like we obviously talk about PS Plus quite a lot, and we say, how does it work for developers? I think we know that, we know how some of the deals are worked out, and it's one of those things where a small developer has got a really good game, and they've essentially just gone, fuck it, here you go. And it's just brilliant, and I'm so pleased that they've done well with it because it deserves to do incredibly well.
No, that's good to see.
And for those Xbox One owners that haven't got a PS4, you got that in early 2016.
Indeed, yeah, it's coming out. I think January, February time.
January,
yeah. With a Warthog and something from Gears of War as well, which would be quite interesting. And also, I actually jumped on it earlier on this month, and they've updated it with the ice hockey pack. So now, the whole of the floor is ice, and the ball is a puck. So you're essentially playing ice hockey. It is ludicrous. It's just so much fun.
They could do so much with that with DLC. They could. Yeah.
And the thing is, that DLC is free. It's just a title update. Because they just want everybody to play it, and all of the DLC so far has been cosmetic. So, if you got it for free, for fuck's sake, just chip in a couple of quid, buy one piece of DLC, and just show that you're actually supporting.
Yeah, Gary,
calm down.
I wasn't getting at Gary. It was just
just me.
It's not my fault. He's tight. And at number 9, we have got Everybody Goes to the Rapture, which was actually Deb's top pick. Again, we sort of said in the biggest surprise bit where
that is a surprise.
Yeah, the fact that it was one of those games, and again, this is why I've said at the time, I think I probably did it a disservice with the review. It's stuck with me a lot more than
Fuck's sake.
it's stuck with me a lot more than I thought it would do. It was quite easy to write it off in some respects because it had that slow mechanic where you were just, you were really, really trudging through it. You didn't have that option to just run through stuff if you wanted to. I mean, you could hold down one of the triggers, but it didn't feel like you were sprinting. It was just kind of, it edged its way up to a very slow jog. But
didn't they forget to put the like the run fast button in the manual or whatever?
Yes, yeah, they did. They forgot to put it in the tutorials. So people kind of eventually figured it out themselves, and it was one of those things where it was like, the game's really slow. It's like, sorry about that. But I mean, Rapture's, it's a really good title in terms of a story. You've got to try and piece the story together, and I think when you start to put those little pieces together, it's really good. There's no.
Wasn't the soundtrack really good as well for that?
Oh, the soundtrack to that game is something else. Like, I could quite happily sit and listen to that soundtrack for hours on end. It's beautiful. And I think that that's one of the standout things about the game, where you'll be just walking through, and then all of a sudden you'll just get this beautiful piece of music just come over the top.
Was it Jessica Curry? That did
I think it was. I think so. Yeah. But again, this is one of those games where it is beautiful, and the whole premise of the game is you walking around and you're taking in this scenery, and it just looks incredible.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's a very nice title to have in our top 10. At number 8 is Bloodborne.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that in there because I would have had it in my top 5 if it wasn't for one game. So it would be number 6 if I could have voted for 6. But yeah, happy to see other people vote for Bloodborne. Great game, really, really good. I gave it a 9.5 when I reviewed it originally, and we had Stephen, one of our contributors, review the DLC as well, gave it a 10. I play the Dark Souls games and I like them, but they're a bit too slow for me. Bloodborne takes that concept and just quickens it up a bit. So attack is the best form of defense in this. It's still fucking hard. Don't get me wrong. It's still got that Souls mentality, whereas any enemy can kill you literally at any time. But it pushes you forward in the sense that even when you attack and lose health, if you attack within a certain period, like a little window, you can gain that health back if you attack the enemy successfully. So it kind of pushes that attack is the best form of defense mentality. And it's got so many different layers. Like, the combat is incredibly satisfying. You can have your melee weapon in one hand, a gun in one hand, but the gun's not the normal use of a gun. It's used for countering and parrying. So you can use it on bosses, and just about there's a risk reward mechanic. Just about when they're ready to attack, you shoot the gun, they'll get kind of pushed back, and you can get in with some blows. So it's the combat is incredibly deep and satisfying, and the world itself is just so damn good. It's just so creepy, so atmospheric. The world itself tells its own story. The game doesn't need to have cutscenes here and there every place. The world itself tells a narrative, and it looks amazing as well. It's a wonderful game. It really is.
Cool. It's you've said all that I think needs to be said on it. It's not a game that, if I'm honest, I'll probably get into. I've never been I've never been a fan of the Souls series and that kind of game. It's like, I can totally see why people get lost in it, and I can totally see why people would fall in love with it the way that you have. But for me, it's not really my thing. Gary, what do you reckon to Bloodborne? Are you in the same boat as myself, or is it the same?
I'm actually sort of a bit half and half with it, to be honest. Dark Souls, I just couldn't get into because just how brutal it is mainly. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but I just haven't got the time and the patience these days to sort of try and tackle games like Souls.
You just put a lot of time into it,
yeah. But to be fair, Bloodborne, I've been looking to pick it up, so after Christmas is definitely one I'm going to sort of look into getting, and it'd be pretty cheap now, I'd imagine.
It's around 20 quid in most places if you look around.
Yeah, and how much are we looking at for the expansion?
I think the DLC was around 15, I want to say.
Probably it's about that, yeah.
Yeah, around that mark. Sorry, I don't know the exact price, but yeah, around that mark.
And that got some rave reviews as well.
Yeah,
did, yeah.
Yeah, we gave it a 10, so yeah, it just adds more to it, and it has more brutality to it. Like it just gets, it's a hard game. By no means should you step into this if you don't like a challenge, because if you don't, you will get annihilated, and the game will kick you. It will kick you again. It will spit on you, then kick you again, but you'll still get back up and wanna, succeed. And when you do, it's the most satisfying feeling. Like there was a boss I remember that when I was trying to review it, because obviously at that point there's no fucking guides or anything like that out there. So I was like, fucking hell, how do I do this? And I was struggling. I must have seen the "you die" screen about 20 times or 30 times, and I was getting so pissed off. I was getting, fuck you, seriously. And then when I did it, I was incredibly satisfied. I forgot about those previous 20 or 30 deaths. I was like, yeah, fuck you, did it. It felt so good. It's really good, and it's got a co-op element to it as well. So you can not like continuous co-op. You can call in. You can chime like a bell, and you can call in like a players to help you with bosses if you want. Not at every given moment, but it kind of, if you are struggling, you can do that. It's just a really good game. I'm glad that someone else voted for it.
Cool.
So, yeah, good.
Okay, moving on to our number 7. I had to count then. I
lost count.
I was struggling. Numbers are hard. Our number 7 in our game of the year is PES 2016. A couple of people voted for this. And
quite high votes for it then, I guess.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, I didn't vote for it, guys. Just to point that out.
Neither did I.
Exactly. So the two, arguably, people call us biased PES fans. We didn't vote for it. There you go.
And again, we've sort of briefly touched on it a bit earlier on with the surprise, but I can see why this is here. PES has been one of those series where you've seen that. I'm sure people will have seen the image, and hopefully we can get it up in the video at this point. But you've got that PES fan cycle where you have, you've got this is our year, the king is back, and then it goes into.
I call it Liverpool syndrome.
That's a good analogy, to be fair.
Yeah, where you've got like this whole thing of, oh, this is going to be it, and then the king is back, and then it's like, hang on, what's this? And then,
back again.
This is shit, and that's the cycle. And it has been like, looking from the outside, I used to be a massive PES fan, and I sort of fell off it, and fell out of love with football as well. But the looking from that side, looking in, that was never more true than a lot of the people with PES. Like where you'd see people like getting really hyped up and really excited, and they're like put the disc in straight away and just go, this is the best game ever, and then like within 2 months they go, nah, shit. But
let's be honest, with PES, previous generation, we've been through the shitter with it.
Yes, totally.
PS3 was a terrible time.
PES 2008 is that was
an abomination.
that was at the point where I started to lose hope with it, because it was like, we went from PES 6 and it was like, oh, 2008 is going to be amazing, like that's going to be the first game on the PS3, it's brilliant. And they took 2 years to develop it, and then it came out, and then the replays just looked like a slideshow. It was it was just horrendous.
It by all accounts, like people will say, oh, it's number 7 in your list, but I guess it's like you said, like I can see why people would have voted for it. It's a fun football game. It has that balance in the gameplay. Yeah, people. I get people every day moaning at me about things that are specific to them, their specific things, and it's like, I get it. There's certain things that people, if you play over 100 hours, 200 hours in a sports game, you're gonna find little things, little niggles here and there. It's like, well, sorry to dob you in it, Ben, but it's like being like, being in a long-term relationship or being married to someone. You're with that person kind of day in, day out. Like you'll notice little annoying things about them, but you know what? You still fucking love them. You still fucking love them.
No comment. I'm not.
Does Rachel listen to the podcast?
No, she doesn't. But
Okay.
I'm not
We're
willing
going to
to.
have to tell her to now.
But
I'm not willing to make that step.
that's the analogy I use, right? And that's how it is with like a yearly sports game. If that's the only game you play, and the majority of PES fans, that's the only game they will play. If you play it over and over and over again, you'll notice things. And that's fair enough. But you're still, but the fact is, you're still going back to play it. There's a reason there.
Yeah,
and you're enjoying it.
I think you've hit it spot on with the wife analogy. It's like PES is the wife. PES is the one that's there all the time. It's that reliable, dependable.
And now is that like the gameplay provides that? Yeah, there'll be certain niggles here and there, but the overarching fact is it's a really good, fun football game. It has that balance of sim and I guess if you want to, I hate the term arcade.
But arcade, yeah.
Yeah, fun. It has that balance. It can't like football at its core is a pretty simple game, and that's what pairs right, especially this year than any other year. To be honest, it gets that right, and now they've got a lot to live up to with 2017. So let's see where they go. But yeah, deservedly so. I can see why it would, people would vote it high up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and number 6, before we move into our top 5 games of the year, we'll also do a little bit about the ones that nearly made it into the top 10. Number 6 on the list is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
I'm very happy that made it, but I'm not happy because I know the other game that I hate made it into the top 5. So, okay. But yeah, I'm really happy The Witcher made it because I voted for it. Voted for it, and I'm still going to be playing it over Christmas. To be honest, I put like 30 hours initially when it came out, and then I dropped off because I had other commitments like reviews and stuff to do, so I didn't have the time to invest in it. But as far as expanding on, this is what Fallout didn't do, and what Witcher 3 does really well. It expands on an already good game that was Witcher 2, and builds a technically stable, a great looking world with so much interesting stuff to do in it as well, like different stuff, and it's not buggy as hell, and it just works. It works, and it looks phenomenal while it's doing that. And the fact that they've released DLC, like the main game itself is 100 odd hours, probably more. The fact that they released DLC for it, with the paid DLC after release, loads of free DLC in the first place, adds another 50-60 hours onto it, and there's more DLC coming that adds another 50-60 hours onto it. It's incredible. That is just incredible to me. And the game it's like the combat is slightly different to Witcher 2. It takes a bit of adapting to get used to, but once you do, it's kind of second nature. And the different missions, even if they're not story missions, they're still interesting. Like you'll be going to like a main story mission, and you'll pop up across, I don't know, witches of the swamp and whatever, and you'll start doing that mission or that sort of path, and it's just so good. It's so deep, and it's so engaging and engrossing. The world itself is so good, and you can have sex on a unicorn.
You can indeed have sex on a unicorn.
Yeah.
I'd probably say that it's fully deserved to be in the top 10. I've got to say that I really wanted to get into The Witcher 3 a lot more than I did. I started playing it, and then it was one of those where, again, a lot of reviews and things like that took over, and I didn't have the time to sink into it as much as I wanted to do. Things like work got crazy, and everything else, life got in the way, and I think it's, again, one of those ones where it's sat on my hard drive. I got it downloaded, and it's just there. It's ready to dive into and so just lose so much time into it. By all accounts, like the DLC strategies that they've come up with, the
amazing,
all of the free stuff that they've given, and all the support they've given to the game. Like CD Projekt Red have just been absolutely incredible with this game.
They're one of the best developers out there, and they appreciate their fans, and they don't bullshit their fans either. If some things, even if they have come across like a few technical issues here and there, they've resolved them like immediately, like with a snap, pretty much. Like they've been open and transparent about it, and they're such they get it. They get this whole, like they get their fans, and they're very impressive developers, and the game speaks for itself. It's so good. This is what Fallout 4, in a sense, should have been.
Okay, cool. So, we'll come on to that one shortly. But that's our sort of 10 to 6, which is Rocket League. Everybody's gone to the Rapture, Bloodborne, Pez, and The Witcher 3.